Okay, everybody, welcome to Conspirinormal. This is a special video edition.
Whoop whoop.
Just a little short segment to put on the YouTube channel and on the feed because if you guys don't know, I have been promoting this lady here, Nevaeh.
Hello.
And I've been producing her YouTube channel for, it's been a little over 6 months now, I think, maybe a little longer than that we've been doing this. And so I just want to kind of bring her out to the Conspirinormal audience, and I'm going to put this on her feed as well. And I want you guys to kind of get to know her and hopefully go subscribe to her channel.
Yeah.
Which is called what?
It's Nevaehs Nightmare. Yeah, it's Nevaehs Nightmare.
All right, excellent. She's a little nervous.
Just a bit.
But that's okay. But there's no one here, so I don't know how you would be nervous. But anyway,
I don't know.
Just nervous for the world.
Yes.
All right, so Nevaeh,
Adam.
you started a YouTube channel.
I did.
How did you start this YouTube channel?
Okay, well, at the time I was working at Domino's, and Adam knew that I was into paranormal, just weird things, I guess, the supernatural, any true crime stuff in that sense. And he had brought up multiple times potentially starting a YouTube channel. And at the time, I didn't know if that was something I was actually going to go along with or something that I would want to commit to, I guess. But I had always wanted a YouTube channel. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. And here we are.
Yeah, for me at first it was just a suggestion of you should just start a YouTube channel because I like to, with anybody that's does podcasting or YouTube or whatever, if you're interested in this stuff, by all means start one.
Yeah.
So I had suggested to her that she should start one. And then I thought to myself, well, maybe I should just help her start one.
Yeah. I mean, because if you didn't help me, I would literally have no idea what I'm doing. I would probably record the videos.
Could have done it.
But I don't know how to edit. I don't know how to do set up things. I just do.
Yeah. So we've gotten together with this and little collaboration, and let's talk. We could talk a little bit about what we've talked about on the show.
Okay.
On your YouTube channel, which give everybody what the name of that YouTube channel is.
It's my YouTube channel? Nevaehs Nightmare?
Yeah, Nevaehs Nightmare.
Nevaehs Nightmare.
YouTube channel.
Yeah,
yes,
my
that's
YouTube
what we're
channel.
talking about.
Yeah, well, duh. Yeah, it's Nevaehs Nightmare. I'm spooky things, gothic things. Always been kind of the odd kid out of the bunch. So Nightmare was just kind of my name, Nightmare. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's an alliteration.
Yeah.
And I really love alliterations. So I was
I don't know what that word means.
Alliteration means two word. It's a 2-word phrase that starts with the same 2 letters.
Oh.
So
yeah.
So an alliteration.
Yeah.
So Nevaehs Nightmare.
Nevaehs Nightmare. Yeah.
There you
okay.
go.
Well,
For some reason, I was really getting into alliteration at the time. So I was like, why don't you name it Nevaehs Nightmare?
Yeah.
And
it works.
She liked it.
Yeah.
So. All right, so we've been talking about various subjects on this channel. So what are some of the ones that you remember that you liked to talk about?
Really enjoyed the Poltergeist one. That one was something that I had interest in when I was little, probably 6 or 7, and that was kind of when I started not researching, but developing some sort of knowledge into the whole realm of odd, and that was kind of the beginning of it. So talking about it, I was like, yes, and this one, I'm excited for this one. So
yeah, we talked about we talked about the curse of Poltergeist,
right.
So how that started with the death of Dominique Dunn and then Heather O'Rourke and a couple of other people, people that died.
Right.
So what do you think? Was there a curse of the Poltergeist movie?
I honestly don't know.
What's your thoughts on it?
I honestly don't know because there's so many things that's just it's a little too superstitious, but then there's the fact that those people died while in the midst of the Poltergeist, it could have happened with any movie. It just happened to be a horror franchise. So
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's other ones too, and I think we'll probably do this. Like, The Omen is another one, and like
The Omen.
Rosemary's Baby is another one that's got a lot of weird things about it.
Rosemary's Baby is still on my watch list.
Maybe you've not seen Rosemary's
I'm
Baby.
still working on it. I have a lot of movies I need to watch.
Classic horror film.
Listen, I just started watching Swarm last night, and Billie Eilish. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, I got a book for you. That's remember I got you the book for Christmas.
Yes, I have that book.
The good guide for horror movies. Which some of those horror movies I've never actually seen.
Sometimes when I'm like in a horror movie like moment, I'll like reach down. I'll be like, and then I get out of the mood to watch a movie.
So we've talked a lot about alien abduction on the show too, which is something that I talked about a lot early on Conspirinormal. And that's something that I kind of wanted to write about. So those are the ones that I've written. And what do you think about some of that stuff, like some of that material? So like the one we just did was the Andreasen affair. So
yeah,
that one was kind of weird.
That one was different.
Just a bit.
I try to sway away from things that involve religion just because I am so I'm hit or miss with religion, so I just try to avoid it. Like, I like hearing things about it, but like don't make that the whole aspect, you know. Let other things come into play as well when it comes towards religion. But I think the Betty and Barney Hill one was that was a very memorable one for me. So
yeah, that's one that's like the very kind of first like kind of classic alien abduction.
Yeah,
and could have elements of mind control. You never know.
Right.
This is stuff we've talked about on the show. So if you're a Conspirinormal listener, you're absolutely familiar with that.
Yes.
And that's the first video that we did.
My first video.
Betty and Barney Hill.
Yes.
And Travis Walton.
Yes.
So you guys can go watch that.
Yeah, you should. You should go watch it.
You know what? She actually does write these too.
Yeah.
So there's a couple. There's a few that you've written.
Yeah. I wrote the Boy in the Box one. I wrote the Muffin Man one, obviously. The one I couldn't sit still through. The Muffin Man. I got so much criticism for laughing during the video.
Well, it was supposed to be funny.
Exactly. It was funny. How could I talk about this like made up serial killer and not laugh about it? It was funny. It was satire.
Right. I think that story was complete bullshit.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100% it was. But I got so much criticism for it from like people I know in person because I was laughing during it, and they were like, yeah, I was really invested in the story. Like, how can you be invested in that? Like, it's all not real. It's not true. It's just one of those stories that's supposed to make you laugh. And if the person saying it is laughing, then maybe you should laugh along with them.
What did he do? He killed somebody with a mortar and a pestle.
Yeah, and then another method of murder was shake and bake.
Right, yeah, there was a shake and bake. Yeah,
that was my favorite method of murder.
You know, like the I think the source from that was a website called the Encyclopedia.
Right. Well, there was a bunch of different sources, and there was one source that I looked at, and it was just some like lady who found books in her like library. And she seemed like the most unbiased, and like she put in the thing, she was like, I know a lot of this is made up, but I want to try to like find out as much of this so-called real story or real folklore as possible. And I mean, some of her stuff like could potentially be true. Like it was more of like a fact checked almost. Like she talked about things in this era that was accurate compared to the rest of the other sources, which was all just like at the time there was a Queen of England and they were saying king,
right,
or some stuff silly. Like that.
Right,
it was just stuff that didn't make sense, didn't fact check. So
yeah, well, like I said, it was the Encyclopedia,
exactly.
Which, if you looked at some of the other articles that were on the Encyclopedia, it looked pretty dubious to me.
Yeah, imagine like a satire form of Wikipedia. Exactly. That's what this is.
Exactly.
That's what this is.
Yeah. But there was some real stuff behind it. I mean, there was like, you know, a Muffin Man actually existed. So
right.
There was find out that was real. That was a real thing.
It was time period stuff that was accurate.
Yeah. But the Muffin Man was more something in like the Victorian age.
Right.
So
and they were saying this wasn't that far back, but it would have had to have been if it was an actual Muffin Man.
And you did the Boy in the Box case.
I did do the Boy in the Box case. That one, I was okay. So something that happened after that one. So 2 days after we posted the video, my role model Ask a Mortician posted
Uh-huh.
a very, very similar video about the exact same case 2 days later, which I was just like, well, it's just a coincidence. But I was like, oh, like, wow, I did something before one of my icons. I was like, wow. So that was fun. But the Boy in the Box one, I don't think that they'll ever be 100% able to say how he passed, if he died, like how he died, or if he was murdered or anything like that, because the case is so old and there was so many things at the time that could have been answered if they had modern technology, and they didn't.
Yeah.
And it's so old that like a lot of it's just gonna like decay over time, like in the sense of some DNA's, or not DNA necessarily, but like some things just aren't gonna be there that were. And the people working on it now weren't there when the case happened, so I don't think it's going to be solved. But they did find his identity, and they found his family.
They did.
So that's good. But all of the people that would have been related to his case have already passed. So...
Yeah, because I guess he would have been, I guess if he had lived, I guess he would have been in his 60s by now.
Correct.
At least.
So like his parents...
Maybe 70s.
Yeah, I mean, it was public that his parents have already passed, but they still won't release the family, which
Right.
that's valid. They don't want this coming out of nowhere and being surrounded by paparazzi and stuff, like, well, not paparazzi, but like people coming to them for questions.
Media attention.
Yeah, they don't need that when they themselves didn't even know who this boy was.
My thought on that case, it's kind of really, it's a tragic case, because this young child was found in a box in like 1957.
Yeah.
And he was probably like 8 or 9 years old, I think.
No,
that they said.
it was between 4 and 7.
Oh, okay. So
I believe.
My thought on that was
4
just
and
like
something.
he was probably like, it was probably like an accident, or killed him by mistake, or maybe even that, and
Yes, but
they
like
just dumped him off.
Yes, but he was bathed post-mortem. He also received a haircut after death, because follicles of hair from the haircut were found on his body.
Yeah.
But he was freshly cleaned. Like, if they were just like, oh, an accident happened and they dumped the body, why would they just leave him? You know? Like they would just leave him, but like, I don't know how to explain this. Like, okay, if an accident happens and you want to get rid of it, you're going to get rid of it. You're not going to take all of these steps afterwards.
That's a good point.
And then get rid of it.
That's a good point.
So, I think...
See, she wants to be a mortician, so that's what
I'm a mortuary assistant currely.
She is a mortuary assistant.
I'm a mortuary assistant.
She handles dead bodies.
I on occasion. Having to pick them up sometimes. No biggie.
Yeah. And it was in the news because they found, I guess it was back in December, so it was December of 2022, that they found his body. Or they finally figured out, what am I saying?
Yeah.
They finally figured out his name.
Fun fact.
I guess DNA.
Yeah, they found it through DNA that they found through someone else in his family that had been arrested. And fun fact, that was the only family member that was arrested.
I don't know if that's like, that's interesting because I know that was like a 23andMe type of thing or what it was.
But what makes it really weird is, actually, I just lost my train of thought, so hold on that statement.
What makes it really weird is, I don't know.
Yeah, I just completely derailed in my
Well,
head.
we also did the Candyman murder, and we did that around Halloween.
I did. That one was I actually forgot I did the one.
You forgot you did that one?
Yeah, I know some people think it's weird, but I don't go back and watch my own videos. I'm probably not even going to listen to this.
That's okay because I don't really go back and listen to Conspirinormal. So
Exactly.
I understand.
Sorry, I had to yawn. The Candyman one, yeah.
She's bored.
I am not bored. I am not. I am not. The Candyman one, that one was something that I had also known about since I was younger. I wouldn't say between like 6 and 7, but I was probably about like 12 or 13 when I heard about that one. And that was another one of those things where like, oh, like serial killers, like not serial killers, but like there's more than serial killers.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like there's people who murder their children and expect to get all of these things in return that don't realize that like you can't do that. Like, the man was being so suspicious after he killed his kid. Like,
by using tainted candy, by the way.
Yeah, tainted candy. Yeah. And they were pixie sticks, and he filled the pixie sticks with, was it cyanide? Was it?
I think so.
Yeah, with cyanide, I believe. And instead of, like, being creative and making the pixie stick look like a pixie stick, he stapled it closed.
Yeah.
He stapled it closed.
Yeah.
And
it was kind of a dead giveaway.
Yeah. And the place, like, the whole thing of him retrieving the pixie stick, he couldn't tell the cops where he got it from, what house he got it from. And in reality, he didn't even get it from a house. He just gave it to his kids. He, like, waited at an empty house and came back, and he was like, oh, I have pixie sticks, when there was no one home. No one home. The person he blamed it on, and, like, whatever house it was that he finally gave up to, had a very, very strong alibi. It was all ridiculous. After his son passed, he, like, immediately wanted to get the life support or whatever it's called on his son. And in reality, life insurance.
Yep.
And then
he'd actually put out a claim, I think, before that.
Months prior. Months prior.
Not a claim, but a policy.
Yeah, he, like, upped how much he would get if his son died. Actually, if it was if both of his kids died. And plans fell through and only one of them died. But still, someone died. But it's all just kind of ridiculous. Like, he set all of these things in place for his own failure. Like, he could have been so smart about that. And no.
Well, no. This is one of those things that, like, what I remember when I was growing up, like, way back in the Paleolithic age, there was, they talked, otherwise known as the 1980s. They talked about, they always talk about how, like, well, you gotta be careful because if you go, you might get poison in your candy, and your parents need to check your candy for any kind of poison. Razor blades was another one. Razor blades in the apples. That was another one.
Why would you give apples out on Halloween?
People do. So I grew up I grew up with this. I grew up hearing this kind of thing, and it turns out that, like, it was really just some kind of mass hysteria because really people like this guy, and this was in the 70s. People like this guy who was like a parent or a guardian were the ones actually poisoning children for life insurance fraud.
Exactly.
But it became this whole big mass hysteria that, you know, your Halloween candy was poisoned.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's kind of. Have you ever seen the Chucky series?
No, I actually never seen the Chucky series. So you can berate me for that one.
Okay. Well, I might actually. So in the series, the first season, I believe, Chucky's trick-or-treating, and is this a TV series? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
He gives apples with razor blades in them, and that's what that reminded me of. But I've never been given an apple on Halloween.
That's where that comes from.
I've never been given an apple.
Like, old people gave you apples.
No, I would go to old people's houses, and I never received apples at them.
It was a thing back in the day.
I have been to someone's house who tried to give me a toothbrush. That was weird.
There you go. That's like, you know.
It's not an apple, though.
Well, I mean, that makes sense, right? Because, you know, you might ruin your teeth with that candy, so they give you a toothbrush.
Adam, can we move to the next topic?
We can move to the next topic. All right. So I've also, you've done some interviews.
Correct.
I think we had Kiki Dombrowski.
I love Kiki.
And Jenny Ashford, we had her on, and then also Joshua McCutcheon. So you've done some interviews too.
Yeah.
And she's an excellent interviewer. She really knows.
She's
natural at it. She's gonna take my place one day.
That's a big shoe to fill. I don't know if I can.
Yeah, well.
I love Kiki. I love Kiki. She's awesome.
Anything you got out of those interviews? Anything that was particularly interesting to you? I know that you liked a lot of Josh's work. And I really dug into researching with Josh, because at first it was like, okay, I'm just going to listen to the podcast, figure out some stuff, ask some questions from the podcast. And then that kind of spiraled into me, I want to read his books. He's talking about things that I have always been interested in. I want to know more. And that's kind of when the interview came in place, because I was so excited to interview him, because I had genuine questions that I was just like, I want to know I want to know the answer to these questions, whether they're not factual answers. It's not something that you can look at a scientist and a scientist will say, oh yeah, Bigfoot. But like someone who knows and has way more knowledge in years than I do,
even if he wouldn't consider himself a professional, in my eyes, he is more professional than I am. So what he says matters to me.
Yeah, he's done his research.
Yeah, he has. He has.
I've read most of Josh's books, really all of them. Still haven't finished Ecology of Souls, I must say, but because it's 2 books basically.
Thick book.
And we did 2 interviews with him on Conspirinormal.
Yeah.
So Josh is one of my favorites, and you talked to Jenny Ashford, 13 O'Clock podcast. Talked mostly about true crime, I think, on that one, right?
Yeah, it was mainly about true crime, which, again, another thing where she knows way more than I do. And I thought I was a big crime junkie until I started realizing I am not as big of a crime junkie as I thought I was. And she was another eye-opener for that, too. Like, wow, she knows way more than I do. I thought I, could, at least talk about some things, but she's knowledgeable.
She wrote 3 volumes about unsolved crimes of the 20th century. So.
And
they are large books as well.
Yeah. Another thing with her, too, is, same thing. She has more years on than me. She has more knowledge than me. And, again, just want to ask questions. And if anyone would know the answer, I believe she would. So... And she's knowledgeable enough about the whole topic. Because, see, I have a problem with, remembering an entire story. And she did that. She knows the whole stories.
Yeah.
She knows the whole stories, so.
And Kiki, that was the first interview you did.
Yes, I love Kiki so much.
We talked about her book that I have here.
I also have one of her books. You should read it.
You do.
It's signed by her.
I have, yeah. Yep. Got her book about divination here.
Yeah, that's the one that I have. Yeah, Kiki's awesome. Have I met her? I've met her, but have I met her twice?
Well, you met her at the Strange Realities conference.
I met her at Strange Realities.
Yep.
Did I meet her before then?
No, I don't think so.
No. Okay. Well, I've only met her once. I thought I had met her twice. Well, I guess I'm counting the interview. Kiki is awesome. She's very knowledgeable. I feel like if I ever had a spiritual question, I would come to her. Because I've never really had anyone that I could ask spiritual questions about, because I don't feel like anyone thinks the same way that I do or knows stuff that more than I already know, because I'm knowledgeable, but I'm not you couldn't ask me a question and I know the answer to everything. No. And I'm not saying Kiki does either, but if I have a question about something specific and I don't trust the resources I'm looking at, I would text Kiki. Yeah, I would text her.
She is something else.
I would text her.
One of my favorite people, and expect to see her at Strange Realities this year.
I would like to see her sooner than that. She keeps saying she's going to come down, and she doesn't.
Well, we'll talk about that.
Yeah. Anyways.
All right. So, Nevaeh was at Strange Realities.
I was.
Last year. She actually, this little guy right here.
I painted him.
This is for the video version. You guys can see. That's the alien that she painted. That's got the Strange Realities shirt on, and he's doing. I don't think she knew this when she did it, but he's doing an as above, so below kind of motion here. Yeah, if you can see that.
Also, I crammed that in the night before. I had months to prepare, and I crammed it the night before.
Yes.
Like a proper teenager.
I think I gave you the cardboard probably a month before or something like that.
No, it was 2 months before.
Was it 2 months?
Yeah,
oh, wow.
But you're making me realize how much I'm lacking.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, I kind of want to make something again. No, well, thank you. I kind of want to make something for next year too. I don't want to do another cutout because we have this one. But I don't know what I would want to do.
Yeah, we'll use him again next year.
Yeah, we'll use him again. I can make him a little buddy.
This year.
Oh well.
All right.
We'll see. Well.
That's pretty much it. I want to thank you guys for listening. This is our little infomercial here, I guess you could say. Yeah. And Nevaeh, tell people where they can find Nevaehs Nightmare.
You can find Nevaehs Nightmare on YouTube. If you need to know how to spell my name, I'm sure Adam has it in the title.
Well, it will be there, but
it'll be there now.
Think heaven backwards.
Yes. Yeah, sure.
That's what I've been saying.
Yeah.
That makes it so much easier. Trust me.
I know. I am on YouTube. It's Nevaehs Nightmare. My Instagram, if you want to check there, sometimes I post an early sneak peek, I guess, on my story. That is morning.drizzle. I also have my TikTok, which I just post, I don't know, just TikToks of my outfits for the day. Sometimes I'll do little goth stuff on there. That is Nevaehs Nightmare, Nevs.Nightmare.
Perfect.
Yeah. That's where you can find me.
All right, guys. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you.
Send a subscription her way. That helps us. She is part of the Strange Realities family.
I am.
And it raises all ships. So, all right, guys.
Nice.
Thanks a lot, and we will be back with a regular show on Conspirinormal.
Thank you so much.